Hi, it's Friday and it's the day after I did the video about G. Alan Shepherd, who lived at Riverside here. So I'm standing near North Street in Osney again. And I'm looking at Osney Bridge, and Osney Bridge is actually my subject today, because when looking up the bridges of Botley Road, I discovered that Osney Bridge had collapsed in quite a spectacular and nasty way. So I thought I would talk about this. Osney Bridge goes over the main channel of the Thames. If you've seen my other videos, or just about anything else on life in the floodplain, you'll know that the Thames is split into a multitude of little streams, and that at different times different channels have served as the main navigation channel, the one along which most of the boats go. This here is the main channel now, and this replaces a 17th century stone bridge which collapsed while people were crossing it on December the 2nd, 1885. And some references on the bridges just say baldly, the bridge collapsed, or the bridge collapsed and people fell into the river. The Oxford Mail has collected a little bit more information, and I've taken most of what's next from two of their articles. So it seems that just after 8 a.m. on December the 2nd, 1885, a crack appeared in the road on the north side of the stone bridge and gradually increased in size. And almost immediately, part of the stonework fell into the river. In those days, the bridge was, as I say, stone, and it had a number of arches, so a number of piers. And the fourth pier from the Oxford side split in the middle and gave way. And that made the parapet and the footpath and about 2 to 3 feet of the roadway and arch fall into the river, which was pretty swiftly running at the time. 11-year-old Rhoda Elizabeth Miles, says one of the Mail articles, was getting the morning paper for her family from the station. She fell in and was swept away by the current, and her body wasn't recovered for 3 years. Her remains were eventually found near Osney Lock by an angler. This was now at about 8:30 a.m. and children were going to school. Some people were apparently standing on the bridge watching the cracks, apparently oblivious to any danger. Some people fell in. Some of the other people fell in. One was rescued by men in a punt. The article doesn't say, but I think in those days punting might well have been a fairly standard method of commuting around this part of Oxford. I heard of somebody in Wolvercote who worked in the paper mill that was then there in the 1930s, and apparently he used to commute by punt. And I've come across that sort of thing in the fens around Cambridge too. Anyway, one of the people who fell in was rescued by men in a punt, it seems. A man called Yatesman from East Street was pulled to safety when rescuers put a ladder across the stream. Lucky him. and a milkman's daughter returning with a milk can and sixpence. That's 6d in old money, half a shilling. Returning with a milk can and sixpence was rescued. She lost her can, but she kept hold of the sixpence. But poor old Rhoda drowned. A temporary floating bridge was erected at Russell Street, and I'll go now and cross to Russell Street. I think it's on the other side of the river, off Mill Street, so I'm going to go across there now. So now I'm on Osney Bridge, and I do hope it's safer than the last one. That's Osney Bridge South, and I'm looking towards the building works from which all that noise is coming. I discovered yesterday that it's an extension to the Said Business School, so yet another Oxford University project. That's the River Hotel. Now I'm on Mill Street going south. That goes into, I suppose, the car park of the River Hotel. Have to say, interjecting, that North Street today was quite an unpleasant place to film. It's full of people going backwards and forwards in their cars. So if my narrative seemed a bit disjointed, that's why. Pleased to see that this pub is still going. So this is Russell Street. And I hadn't realised that I would be right next to this. So, well, I can't get over to the other side of the river anyway, but I wasn't expecting to because there's no permanent bridge here. But presumably the floating bridge, the temporary replacement for Osney Bridge, was built somewhere around here. In this, what was then a quiet little backwater. So I'm now standing on the east side of the Thames, and I'm looking at East Street, Riverside, which is the big house I talked about yesterday and the day before, and of course Osney Bridge, the current one. And the floating bridge was probably somewhere around here. I don't know how long the floating bridge was actually up for. The articles don't say. But a new permanent bridge wasn't built for 3 years. Locals or bridge users got very frustrated with the delays. The stone bridge wasn't demolished immediately. It was allowed to remain, but barricaded. And they kept removing the barricades. It seems that Newbridge was delayed because the Oxford Local Board and the county authority couldn't agree whose responsibility it was to rebuild and maintain it. Eventually the county paid £2,000 to the city, who then agreed to maintain the bridge in future. So that's the bridge we have now. So I'm now coming out of Mill Street, back onto Botley Road behind the station. And I'm now going to go to the other side of the station. I'm sort of glad that we live in a more enlightened time. It must be terrible when authorities are at odds with each other and this results in a major thoroughfare just being neglected, rebuilding sort of left in limbo without anybody knowing what's going on. But luckily I can't imagine that happening today. thank goodness we live in more enlightened times. I'll see you tomorrow.